It's a new season. It seems that song seems to reflect it. This is a season of getting back. A season of comebacks. A season of comebacks. Getting back what was taken and stolen from us. We start with the book of Genesis today, and we promise that I'm going to be concise, but I want to share with you from the 32nd chapter of the book of Genesis. It says, the same night he got up and took his 2 wives and 2 maids, 11 children, and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. He took them and sent them across the stream, likewise everything he had. Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until daybreak. When the man saw that he did not prevail against Jacob, he struck him on the hip socket, and Jacob's hip was put out of joint as he wrestled with him. Then he said, let me go, for the day is breaking. But Jacob said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. So he said, what is your name? He said, Jacob. And the man said, you shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel. For you have striven or persevered with God and man, and have prevailed. Then Jacob asked him, please tell me your name. And he said, why is it that you ask my name? And there he blessed him. So Jacob called the place Peniel, saying, for I have seen God face to face, and yet my life is preserved. The sun rose upon him as he passed Peniel, limping because of his hip. Limping because of his hip. I'd like to take for a subject for a few moments, walking with a limp. Walking with a limp. Sometimes the greatest blessings can come out of a struggle. And it often takes hurts and wounds sometimes to make us a better man, or a better father, a better son, a better daughter, a better wife. It had been a long journey for Jacob. He had left home at an early age, and it seemed that whenever things got hot, wherever he was, he would pick up and leave. He left home, and his name means grabber, or heel, or to supplant, or to substitute. That's kind of his name. And so in biblical days and times, your name said a lot about your character. And he was a schemer, he was a liar, and he was a coward, but yet somehow he loved the Lord. And he had come to a point in his life, the Bible says that he was on his way back home. He had been away from home for 20-something years. He had, perhaps know the story. He had stolen something from his brother, stolen his brother's birthright, stolen his future, stolen his destiny, actually. In those days, when you had a funeral and daddy died, or mama died, and mama or daddy owned a whole lot of property, in these days, if you got 5 kids, you divide it up equally among them, unless daddy said otherwise. You've been to that. You perhaps set in on that, where you're dividing up the house and the land and the cars and the whatever else, property, stocks, whatever that they have, the bank accounts and so forth. You split it across the board. But in biblical days, 90% of it went to the elder brother. and went to the oldest in the family, the oldest son, so to speak. So Esau was the oldest son, but Jacob stole it. He connived and got it and ran to his mama's people in another land. And he'd been there for 20 years, but the Lord told him it's time to come home. But he had always lived with the sense that everything he had, he didn't deserve it.
All right. All right.
And when you live with a sense of the fact that you got what you got because you tricked somebody. You got what you got because you schemed against somebody. Nobody else may not see it, but you know on the inside that you are dirty, rotten soul. And it messes with you over the years. And so he's coming back home, but it ain't right on the inside. And so the Bible says that as the group was going, he runs into Esau, and a group of men just happened to be coming through at the same time. You know, sometimes you just can't escape your past. It can be 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, but sooner or later you're going to confront your past. You can, the people that don't know you, you can run the game on them. But there's some people that knew you when. Who knew you as a liar, a cheater. And so over the years, even with his mama's people, Laban, you know, even in that family dynamic, there was a lot of scheming between the uncle and him. You know, Jacob wanted to marry, Rachel, I think it was. He wanted to marry her and so forth. And the uncle said, well, you worked for me for 14 years and you can have it. All right, and then so Jacob worked 14 years, and the Bible said he wanted her so bad that 14 years seemed like a day. That's what it said, that 14 years seemed like a day. Every day he'd work out in the field and see Rachel walking around there. Boy, it won't be long now. And so 14 years came up, and he came up to his uncle Laban and said, you promised me for 14 years, if I work for you 14 years, I'd get Rachel. He said, well, Rachel ain't the oldest one. See, she got an older sister. And I can't pass over the older sister and give you Rachel, so you got to marry the older sister. Jacob said, I ain't married the older sister, I want her. So the man said, you worked for me for 14 more years. Jacob worked 14 years and ended up with both sisters. You know, in that kind of polygamous society, he ended up with both of them, but it cost him all them years. You see. So sometimes game get run on you too. When you live that lifestyle, when you live in that environment, when you live in that culture, you cheat a little bit and you get cheated on. And so this is the nature of Jacob. He's a man of God, I guess. He's a man with a future with God, I guess. He's a man that God has his hand on his life, I guess. But it ain't showing right now. And sometimes God's got a great plan for your life, but it just ain't showing up yet. So he's trying to make his way back home. This is a journey, you see. This journey has taken him away from home. This journey he has gotten entangled. He has had to finagle his way. And you know, whether you go off to college or move away from home and you're on your own, you got to make it on your own. God telling us time to come back home. And so on his way back home, he done cheated his brother out of everything. And some of his scout team, some of his advanced people, you know, Jacob is traveling now. The Bible said when he left out the door and had to hurry up, and his mama had to get him out of the house real quick before his brother killed him, because the Bible says when he stole his brother's birthright, literally the Bible says Esau was consoling himself on how he was going to kill him. I'm consoling myself by how I'm going to get it. I'm so angry. He's taking everything away from him. His brother. His twin brother. So, it had been some 15 or 20 years. And now he's coming back home, and their paths just happen to be crossing. And the Bible says that the scouts came back and said, Esau is coming to meet you. And and he's got 90 men with him, 400. He's got 400 of his soldiers with him. Well, now Jacob is thinking obviously the worst. And so all of that is just simply a prefix for this moment. The Bible says that the same night that they came back and told him, he had sent a bunch of presents. He had sent, he had droves and droves. God had blessed it. He left with nothing. He said, "But a stick in my hand. I crossed the Jordan with a stick in my hand, and I come back. I got a whole company of people. I got stages of people that I got to move in stages. Cattle and herds and servants and wives and children, 11 children. You see, he had gotten it all, but deep down inside, he knew he didn't deserve it. That's the crucible here. He is living with the deep sense inside of him that he doesn't deserve anything he's got, because he knows who he is.
Yeah, right.
And he knows what he's done.
Right.
So he carries that burden of knowing who he is and knowing what he's done and knowing he's cheated and knowing that he's not who the people think he is.
Right.
So he sends all these presents. When he hears Esau's coming, he prays to God, say, "God, this man can kill us all. He doesn't know what to expect." And so he sends gifts and packages and just all kinds of things to appease Esau. He still got that nature in him. You see, after all these years, he's still an appeaser.
Right.
You don't face it. I'm appeased and take the edge off so he won't be so mad at me. So that same night, the Bible says, with that background, that same night, the Bible says he got up and took his 2 wives and his 2 maids and his 11 children. He'll end up having 12 tribes, but right now it's 11 children. And he took them and he sent them across the stream. You see, he's coming back to the Jordan River now. The promised land is here, and he's making his way back down from Syria. And he's coming across a little stream right there that empties into the Jordan River. And so he's at the borderline now of home. And the Bible says that he took them and he sent them across the stream, and likewise everything he had. Took his wife, sent them across. Likewise, everything he had, everything he owned, everything he possessed, the Bible says. Jacob was left alone. Whatever it is he's struggling with, whatever it is he's got to come to terms with, whatever it is he needs to work out, whatever space he needs, whatever place he's trying to find deep within himself, it's not about his wife, it's not about his children, it's not about his possessions. And sometimes you got to get to a place and get to a point. Clear some space. The Bible says, and Jacob was left alone. All this time he had this herd and all this noise and all the children and all the wives, everybody just in his world and space. And sometimes we can convince ourselves that if we're doing all right by my children, doing all right by my wife, doing all right by my family, doing all right by my making money, ain't I bringing it home, ain't I putting food on the table?
Yeah, right.
That makes the substance of a man. And all of that is good, the Bible seems to say, but the Bible says he took all of that and sent that across the Jabbok. The word Jabbok in Hebrew means to empty. It is an emptying. And so he comes to a place, Jacob comes to a place where he's empty, or he's emptying out, or it necessitates an outpouring or an emptying.
all the stuff he's been carrying for all these years. We ain't talking about the money you made.
Yeah, right now. Right.
Right. Make it plain.
We ain't talking about how pretty your wife is.
Yeah.
Right.
Or the beautiful kids you have, or grandkids you have.
Yeah.
This ain't about that. This is about the man in the mirror. This is about what you think of yourself apart from that. Who are you apart from your family?
That's real.
Who are you as a man? Who are you? What is it on the inside? And Jacob is wrestling and struggling with that.
All right. That's real. All right. Real. Now.
Bible says he took everything, took everybody, everything, and went over. And that night he sat in the darkness by himself. And Jacob was left alone. And he struggles throughout the night with something, with somebody, some nefarious. Was it God? Was it man? Was it Jake? Was it Esau? What is it that he's wrestling with? And so all of a sudden he's caught up, and there's a tussle. And the word to wrestle in Hebrew literally means to dust up. So they're kicking up some dust.
Right. All right.
And he's wrestling and turning and twirling, and it's a physical confrontation with something that he doesn't know what it is, but as he wrestles with it, as he struggles with it, he comes to understand it's God. Sometimes you don't know what you're wrestling with.
Yeah.
It has no face, no name.
Yeah.
You're struggling with something, aren't you?
Love it.
Yes, sir.
Struggling with something. The Bible says that the struggle ain't about the 11 children. It's not about. It's about character. It's about who he is in and of himself.
Yes, sir.
Apart from what he owns, apart from everything else he has, it's the man in here, and he is not in a place. He is not in the place that he knows he should be. But thank God he recognizes that he's got to get right with God some kind of way here. And so this whole thing is about getting right with God, getting in proper relationship with God. And he wrestles, the Bible said. They wrestled all night
Yes,
long.
sir. Yes, sir.
Men, brothers, fathers. I don't know if you've ever been at the Jabba,
Yes, sir.
where you are considering what kind of man you're considering. Who am I apart from being a husband, apart from being a provider, apart from being leading the herd? Who am I?
Right. Right.
And for all of these years, he's been Jacob. The Bible said they wrestled and wrestled. Oh, and the Bible said that the sun was coming up, and there's a lot of myths and so forth around. But sometimes you wrestle in the dark. The darkness is a lot more mysterious than the light. And so in that culture, he was wrestling with something that turns out to be God, it seems. But as they wrestled, the man, the Bible says, that he was wrestling with, said, "Let me go." And Jacob said, "I ain't letting you go until you bless me." He was hanging on. And sometimes, guys, you just got to hang on and hang in there until the blessing is released, until you get what you're after.
That's right.
You can't quit with God.
All right now.
Sometimes it takes a struggle to gain your identity, to work off all of the substitutes that make up your character. Sometimes it takes literally an emptying. We're at the Jabbok here. The Jabbok literally means an emptying out. Fellas, when the last time you had a moment like that? By yourself. Nobody else.
All right.
And he wrestled. The Bible says he wrestled. He wrestled. It was a physical confrontation. And the Bible says when the man saw that he did not prevail against Joseph, he struck him on the hip socket and put it out of joint. He dislocated his hip, but Jacob held on anyhow.
Yeah.
Through the pain, through the struggle, through the hurt, he held on anyhow, somehow realizing that this is my chance. Lord, I don't have what I need. I'm not who I'm supposed to be. I'm not there yet. I know what I've done. I know who I've been. I know where I've been. And I know that I'm not in the place that I should be. But this is my moment.
Yes, sir. That's right.
Change. To be a better man. To be a different man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I'm not going to let go. I know that I haven't been right, but I'm not going to let go of you until you bless me.
All right now.
Bible says the angel, the man, or whatever he was wrestling with, said, what's your name? Names, obviously, names means character. Names mean is a marker of your character. It says something about who you are. And he says, my name is Jacob. In other words, to name literally means fame or reputation. So he's asking Jacob, not only what your mama called you, it's more than that.
Yeah.
It means what's your character? What's your reputation? What's your fame? What is it that follows you? What is it that they call you? Who is it that you are? He said, my name's Jacob. My name is grabber of heels. That is, I coattail, and then when I get in a position, I take over. Wow. To supplant. Look it up. To supplant. In other words, to supplant literally means to substitute or to place myself in someone else's position. It's not the kind of character that can best be used by the Lord to say it at the very least. That's who I am. I can acknowledge who I am finally. After 20-something years or odd years of everything I've been doing, this night, alone in the dark, wrestling with my fate, wrestling with my destiny, I finally can admit who I am. And no transformation, no change can happen in a man's life or a woman's life until you can acknowledge who you are. Sometimes it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Not my mother, not my father, not my sister, not my brother, but it's me, oh Lord. Sometimes, I don't know if you've ever been there, I'm standing in the need of prayer, Lord. What's your name? My name is cheater. My name is liar. My name is scoundrel. My name is unworthy. The angel said to him, that's not all there is to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's not all you are. That's not all you are. Yes, you've acknowledged that, but I know that there's more to you than that. And I thank God that God doesn't condemn Jacob, but God says to him, now you've acknowledged. There's more to you than that. There's more inside of you than what you've displayed all of your life. You're more than a coward. You're more than a liar. You're more than a substitute. You're an original. No longer will you be called Jacob, but you'll be called Israel. Can't you see how Israel came into being? Wow. The nature of Israel? God's people, the 12 tribes, they didn't just drop out of the sky. They came out of one person struggling with his identity, struggling with where he's been, but faithful and wanting God to direct where he's going.
All right.
When you're a man, a daddy, or a wife, or a son, or a daughter, and you are willing to struggle in this way with who you are, apart from what you have, wonderful changes can happen. You'll find a God of grace and mercy who says to you, you think that that's all you are. You've allowed Satan, you've allowed the devil to fool you into believing that that's who you are. That that's your name.
That's big, God. Oh, that's big.
See, but that's not you.
Hallelujah.
The Lord told him that. That's not you. What you did, that's not really you. That was your substitute.
Yes, Lord.
Aren't you glad about it? I mean, a part of me in it, I acknowledge it, but that's not your calling. That's not who you are. Where God wants to take you. If you can just acknowledge it, if you can just... And so it's a painful process. So in the scrap, in the grappling, in the struggling, the angel hits him on the hip and breaks his hip or puts his hip out of joint. So now he's got a bad hip, the Bible says. But he's holding on. I'm wounded, I'm bleeding, but this is all I got. This is my moment, and I won't let it go. What's your name? My name is Jacob. I've been bad. I haven't been who I should be. I've cheated. I've lied. I've hurt. I want to change.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord.
That guy's not you. Your name is Israel. The word Israel means God prevails or to prevail. In other words, to deliver, to save. Yahshua is what he says.
Yes,
That's who we really are. And it's always been there. It's just been covered over by our stuff.
yeah.
By our inconsistencies and by our cowardice and by our pretensions and by the substitute. Jacob said, please tell me your name. You don't know who I am? Why do you ask me that? Why do you ask me my name? And there he blessed him. Blessed him right there that night. Nobody else around.
Right.
Nobody to witness it.
Yeah.
Just me and the Lord.
All right.
I don't know if you've ever been to the Jabba. You may not have been there physically. Somebody know where the Jabba is. Where I emptied it all out. I let it all go. I got it all out of my system. And the Lord forgave and blessed and gave me a whole new identity. Picked me up, turned me around and placed my feet on solid ground. Gave me a broad place to walk. And now I've learned that I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to be self-sufficient. I've learned that God's greatest blessings come through and because of the limp I got now. I recognize that I'm not perfect. I don't have a perfect walk anymore. But I've learned that God can do wonderful things through my hurts and through my wounds. I've learned that he's able. I've learned that it's not by my power, my might. But I've learned that he can use my hurts. He can use my mistakes. He can use my pain. He can use my handicaps.
That's why he won't. That's why he won't. Yes, sir.
Lord.
That's why.
And after that long night of wrestling and scuffling and pain and new identity,
Yeah.
the Bible said the sun rose on him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That means it's a new day. That means it's a new day. Sun rose on. He called the place Peniel, for he said, I saw the Lord face to face, and I have been preserved. Verse 30, and we're done, says, for I have seen the face of God, and yet my life is preserved. Preserved means to be delivered from sin and guilt. Be delivered from sin and guilt. And he was delivered. The one characteristic that the angel or God or whoever it was, the man, the wrestling, the one characteristic it said that saved him was his perseverance. He said, you have persevered with God and man and you and have prevailed. Baby, fellas, perseverance and not quitting. Not giving up on yourself. Not giving up on God. That will be your saving grace. That will be the thing that gets you over. That will be the thing that, yeah, I messed up, but I'm getting back up. Yeah, I did wrong, but I'm repenting and getting my life back together. That will be the thing that the Lord indicates that got you over. Quitters never win. Quitters never quit. Perseverance. Hanging in there even though you ain't at your best. And the most beautiful thing in the world is the last verse. Verse 31. The sun rose. The sun rose upon him as he passed that place where the struggle was. Coming out of the struggle now. I wasn't the same guy. I was young and handsome and self-sufficient and all of those things, boys, that we once were. You ought to say amen to that. Because you can't do it like you used to do it. I don't care how you. And I don't mean in any category. Got a bit of a limp now in some ways, literal and metaphorical. But you've been through the struggle. Come forth out of the other side. Now it's a new day. Don't have as much flexibility, literally. But in your life now, you don't have much flexibility anymore. Not like you used to have. Got responsibilities. Got kids. Got a wife. Got responsibilities. Got a place where God is leading you now. There's not much flexibility in that. You can't just hang out all night no more. You know what I mean? You can't just hang out so much. It's a new day, guys. And the sun is shining on you. God has given you a new identity. New name. Not the substitute that's been showing up. In the name of the Father and the Son.